So take me through it. Is now a good time to be a public company?
We're going to find out. Yeah. I mean, we're excited about going from private to public. If you think about all the companies we admire, the companies that have made a big difference in tech, they're all public companies, and today's the day that happens to us. We're excited.
So it's still cool to be a public tech company?
I think so. I think I had a chance to be a part of a large public tech company in the past.
Google?
And yes. And I think companies like Google and Netflix and Amazon show that you can invest for the long haul, you can continue to innovate, and you can deliver for your customers over a long period of time, regardless of whether you're public or private.
Sure, I get a feel, I mean, I'm sure millions of people use the Dropbox app. Why should maybe one of those users buy your stock? What's the 30-second elevator pitch on it?
Well, I think you have to leave it up to people to make their own decisions on that. I think for us, what we're excited about kind of looking forward is just the massive opportunity we have in the scale of the business. So we have, as you mentioned, 500 million registered users around the world. Those users have brought us into millions of businesses, and we really solve a problem that every business, every team in the world has, which is how do I collaborate around my most important content?
How do you get more people to pay? I'm sure that was a question that came up on the roadshow. How do you get them to trade up from free to paying?
Well, there's a couple things that we've been doing over time. One is just creating more features and functionality in Dropbox that solve more problems for our users. So we launched a feature called Smart Sync about a year ago that allows you to sync a limitless amount of information to your Dropbox. Really useful if you're using a MacBook Air with a limited hard drive and you're traveling around, you're a designer, you need access to all the files that are back at the office. And those are functions and features that people find highly valuable and are willing to pay for.
Take us through I believe if I have it right, the dual class structure. Why did you decide to go with that?
Well, a lot of companies tech companies in particular have dual class structure. I think in our case, Drew and Arash founded the company, have a very long-term vision of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve. And it made sense to keep that structure in place once we went public.
What is their vision? Where do they see Dropbox 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so they talk about unleashing the world's creative energy. And they talk about how work has gotten much more difficult with notifications all the time. You're constantly being kind of bothered in ways that make you unproductive. In fact, Drew talks about a study that McKinsey did that says 60% of our time is work about work. You're not actually doing the stuff you should be doing.
Oh, trust me, I know on my own.
Yeah, so we're really setting out to solve that problem. Dropbox solves that problem for lots of people who are trying to share content, but there's lots of other problems that we can solve, and we're starting to build products that do that, like Paper, which is really a much more intuitive, collaborative workspace for teams.
Mm-hmm. Please get rid of Paper. What is up? Do you envision, going back to the dual class, do you envision that being an issue at some point in the future, or adjusting that, or how do you think about that?
No, we really don't. Again, I think for us, we've got a very strong board. People like Don Blair from Nike and Meg Whitman from eBay and HP, and they are really watching out for shareholders. And again, we look at the dual class structure as just something that enables us to continue to focus on a longer term vision.
Well, I actually want to touch upon your board because you have a heavy hitting board. Meg Whitman, Paul Jacobs, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. How are each of they providing you guidance? What have you learned from each one of them?
Well, I mean, I think Meg's a fairly recent addition to the board. Just her perspective on everything from marketing to sales to how do you compete in a very competitive technology market, which she's done. She's also seen a company from startup all the way to multi-billion-dollar business. I think with Condoleezza, it's just this broader perspective on what's going on in the world and what our place is in it. Paul is someone who is at the heart of Qualcomm, super technical company. We are a super technical company, very engineering and product centric, and he provides a lot of value there.
Sure. A couple more questions on data. What are you doing to protect your data? Given everything we're hearing about Facebook, what does the inside look like for Dropbox?
Yeah, so first I think with respect to Facebook, I know Cheryl and Cheryl and Mark take the issues that they're facing very seriously. I think for us, it's a very different situation, right? So we make our money by users paying us. We are not an advertising business. We don't use information in the same way as some other companies do. We encrypt all of our data at rest, meaning where it's stored, as well as when it's in transit, which is very important. We publish a privacy report with respect to any kind of government inquiries that we get. And at the end of the day, one of our core values is be worthy of trust, because if you're putting your most important information, intellectual property into Dropbox, we have to be worthy of that trust, and we have to earn it every day.
Are you getting more business from companies? Are they coming to you and saying, hey, help me, help protect me?
So we're getting business from businesses all around the world. So we have 300,000 businesses that are paying us for Dropbox, 300,000 paying teams. And those range from small designers to some of the biggest companies in the world, like Adidas and the BBC and News Corp. And they're all realizing that to enable their teams to be more productive, it just makes sense to have a solution like Dropbox so their teams can get access to their content anywhere in the world, they can collaborate around it seamlessly. So we see a lot of tailwinds there and continue to grow.
What does the international growth look like for you guys?
So it looks great. We're quite strong in Europe, Japan, Australia. Most markets outside the US in terms of market development of cloud are a year or two behind, but we're seeing them catch up pretty rapidly. We have customers in all of those countries, really have customers all over the world, many of whom just come to us and buy our product without a salesperson being involved because they love the product,
Any particular hot growth market you can call out?
I would say, the UK, France, Germany have been hot for a while. Japan in the last year has really taken off. We have big companies like Dentsu, big advertising agency, as well as we're doing really well in construction in Japan, education in Japan. Australia is starting to pick up. So we really think we're solving a global problem. And as more and more markets go cloud, we'll have growth opportunities.
How have you had to react as the big guys in the space, the Amazon and the Googles, are giving space away, increasing amounts of space? How do you react to that?
So, when Drew and Arash started the company and the product just took off, and they realized that the big guys are going to do what they do, which is bundle an often inferior product in with their other products and make it cheap or free. And that's been happening since 2011. Now, since then, we've added $1 billion of revenue. So obviously we're doing something right. And our view is you focus on a problem and you solve that problem really well. What we do is super technical. It's really hard to sync large files across different ecosystems, different technology stacks well every single time, reliably every single time. And our users realize that. So they realize we are the standard, and that's how we have a business as successful as this has been so far.
And lastly, what has this process been like for you? I mean, you're a veteran of the tech space. Does it ever get old?
So this process has been fantastic, both from joining Dropbox and helping it grow, and even over the last couple of weeks, meeting with some of the most influential investors in the world, telling our story, getting feedback on the story, and then of course today being able to list on NASDAQ has been fantastic.
Sure. Well, get some rest. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.